Beautiful. Okay, welcome ladies. Thank you again for accepting my invitation to participate in this, which is the 6th week of our Advancing Women in Business webinar and podcast series. So thank you very much. I'm absolutely delighted that you can attend today and be able to share what's happening in your regions, how you feel about what's happened around the COVID, the safe plans. I know there was just a comment then with Renae about an experience in Mackay, which you'll share with us. So what I'd like you to do first is to introduce yourselves. This is all about connecting, engaging and supporting women. So what you have to say today is helping inspire other women about what's happening in this situation, and they might be able to take some tips from you. I'd also like to, before you introduce yourself, is introduce Bindi. Bindi is from the Ethical Change Agency, and Bindi just looks after all the participants that come on. As the panelists speak, Bindi will also be putting up your websites just so they know. For the participants that are there, if you'd like to let us know where you're from, it's always interesting. Thank you, I appreciate it. So we might start with Judy. Would you like to introduce yourself, your business, and where you're at the moment?
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you. Well, we have the Longreach Motor Inn in Longreach, and we also own Saltbush Retreat. There's two couples that own the two businesses. We came to the Longreach Motor Inn about 12 years ago, and it's a very strong corporate motel, and then we obviously in winter we have the tourist travel and stay with us as well. So our restaurant closed in March. It's a Harry's restaurant. It's a very well regarded restaurant out here, and really the only restaurant other than hotels and clubs for a long, the region really. So that was a devastation for not only us, but also for the locals. And that, I guess, was the biggest, that took the biggest toll here. Not necessarily, wasn't the biggest financial toll, but certainly having to lay off all our staff and close everything down, and certainly ran the message home of what was happening. So yeah, I guess I can.
How many staff do you have, Judy? Or did you?
Well, we had we hover around the 20.
Wow.
Through the season, we pick up to sometimes up to 25, and we were just geared up. We had all our staff ready to kick into the season. The bookings were strong. All of our permanent staff, our one chef we kept on. We continued to offer room service to our clients in-house. We chose not to go down the takeaway path because some of the hotels and clubs already did that to some extent, and we're going to ramp that up. So with a small population base, we felt it was better to let those that were going to do it at least have the opportunity of getting everybody, rather than all of us having small numbers, and that way we were also controlling our costs. So we had one chef we've kept on, and our two senior management, one management staff other than the owners, and then one other receptionist, and they all share other duties, and then we just have some of our long-term casuals.
So Judy, just to put it into perspective, what is the population of Longreach?
A little bit over 3,000.
So to employ 20-25 staff is very significant for a population like that.
Yes, it is. It's really, we are a major employer in town. Council and, obviously the government places would be bigger employers, but then Stockman's and Qantas, and we'd be right up there with, the top 3 or 4 in town.
Great. Well, thanks, Judy. We'll come back to you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nikki, hi. How are you from Cairns?
Hello. Yes. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Now.
It is too.
beautiful Cairns in the background here today.
So Nikki has positioned herself on the beautiful marina there, so just to show off the beautiful skies and water. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I operate a few businesses in Cairns in the tourism sector. One of them is the Bad Fishy jet boat, so a jet boating operation in adventure tourism sector. And another one is a boat hire business where you can take boats out to the reef, and also little pontoon barbecue boats. And then I also own a superyacht agency where we do a lot of the provisioning work for visiting superyachts into the region as well. And I do some consultancy work for other tourism businesses also within Queensland and also in other states. So I guess from our business perspective, in terms of the businesses that I own and operate, we had to close them on the 23rd of March, the jet boat and the boat hire business, in line with the regulations in the state. And last month we were able to open up the boat hire business, and this Saturday we're reopening the jet boat business. And the superyacht business is kind of starting to build momentum, but we're waiting on some additional provisions around borders opening before we can progress a few of the opportunities that we've got there as well.
So Nikki, tell me, as far as product and packaging, has there been anything specifically changed as you're starting to open up with the boat hire?
We always sat within the local segment as well as domestic and international, and in the cruise ship market as well. So we have really had to refocus what we're doing on the local space initially, and then in the domestic space. And that's kind of okay. We've just shifted our marketing and our advertising and started to really focus on what those markets want at this point in time. And they want a bit of escapism and fun and to feel safe within their products that they're choosing. So we've really focused on providing those things for those markets, and, obviously putting a pause on what we're doing with the cruise ship market and the international market, but not putting a pause on the relationships there. So keeping those relationships alive, so when the time comes, we'll be able to kind of reignite what we're doing in those spaces as well. In terms of packaging, Cairns is slowly coming out of this. We are working collaboratively as a destination, and there is talk about packaging, but a lot of us are just getting our feelers into what our operations look like and feel like right now and today before we progress those discussions, I guess, too much. It's getting our operations back and functioning, getting staff back, putting our COVID safe practices in place have been the priorities at this point in time.
It is a little bit of a wait and see situation. You know what you had prior, but as the borders, well, as the state starts to open up, what you look like. So, but really thrilled to hear that, that sense of collaboration from a regional perspective is still very strong in Cairns. So great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Renae. How are you? Tell us a little bit about Cape Hillsborough. It's a stunning part. Let everybody know exactly where it is too.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So Cape Hillsborough Nature Tourist Park, it's just located 40 minutes north of Mackay. It's a beautiful drive all the way out here. It's a beautiful countryside, and then you come to this stunning beach location. So hubby, Ben and I have been here for 8 years now, and we're doing a fair amount of renovations throughout the park. So we've got accommodation as well as camping, and we're literally situated right on the beach. And basically from when we've been here, we've slowly but surely been promoting the wallabies and the kangaroos at sunrise. And it has literally taken off and has become quite well known internationally as well. So it basically has gone from having around about 20 people going down there each morning, and we're now up above over 100 people or more every morning. So we've gotten to the point where that did end up getting handed over to Mackay Tourism to take care of. So we no longer look after the experience, and Mackay Tourism have been looking after that for around about 2.5 years now.
Excellent. And I think when I spoke to you a week or so ago, the announcement had just been made that we were opening up Queensland to Queenslanders, and you said, I'm being slammed. So the bookings are slowly coming through, are they?
They're coming through thick and fast. So we did close off on the 25th of March. So we're closed for 2.5 months. We went through and did a whole stack of renovations throughout the whole park. And even as soon as that announcement came through, we weren't ready to open up straight away because we couldn't do it within the 24-hour period. But honestly, the amount of bookings, we're still playing catch up to, you know, do the deposits and, you know, send those confirmations through. It's just, I'm basically from 7 until 7, if not 7 till 10 each day, it's just full on.
And are these predominantly for school holidays, or is it over a period of time?
No, so we've just experienced 2 weekends in a row fully booked out. It's just been phenomenal. The weekdays we're sitting around about anywhere between 30 to 50% full during the weekdays. And school holidays, it's starting to get really hard to actually get people in on dates that they're requesting. So the school holidays is looking really busy, but we're definitely getting clientele anywhere far south as Brisbane and as far north as Cairns. So they're all definitely travelling within Queensland, which is fantastic. So it's Queenslanders supporting Queenslanders.
That's great to hear, because if they're getting in their cars and they're driving up to see you, hopefully they'll make some stops along the way, and hopefully they'll head even further north up through to Cairns and experience some of Nikki's products. I'd love to come back to you and have a chat about, you know, you were talking about renovations, some of the things that you're doing. So I'll come back shortly. Lisa, beautiful Buderim. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're located, and your very well-known restaurant.
Yes, my husband and I have had the business Harry's on Buderim for 2.5 years. My husband's the chef. We moved up from Melbourne with our 3 daughters. So our restaurant's an old Queenslander. She's 140 years old this year, and it's situated within Buderim Forest Park. So it's not very far from the centre of Maroochydore, like 8 minutes. But there's a beautiful rainforest walk that you can do to the Serenity Falls. And we have veranda dining, and I'm sitting in the private room at the moment as well.
So what's the capacity of the restaurant? Just to give
the capacity is usually 60 seats, 60 sit down or 100 stand up. But at the moment, because of our COVID regulations, we're treating it as 2 rooms. So on the veranda, we have 20, and then inside is 12. We can usually do 36 seated. So we've lost quite a lot of functions because we're not allowed to hold any more than that. So yeah, that's been a bit hard, but the community up here is so happy and helpful. We initially, when we had to close, we kept going with takeaway. So we had to let all the staff go, and my husband and I just operated takeaway. So we didn't do lasagnas and soups like everybody up down Buderim Main Street. We're off the main drag, so we don't get much traffic coming past. And people know us for our good food. My husband's formerly a 2-hatted chef from Melbourne, so we give a pretty good feed. So we still wanted to give them the beautiful local produce that we try and use as much as we can with our, we're a member of FAN and the Snail of Approval. So yeah, we still gave them a beautiful product, like duck legs, everything. We filled as much as we could into the takeaway containers, and then they picked it up from the front of the restaurant. So we had a lot of weekly regulars come into the order, and yeah, it was really, really good. It just kept us keep the brand alive, and keep paying the bills, of course. And then we were lucky enough to get the overdraft and get the JobKeeper so our staff could come back. But yeah, now we're functioning on 50%. It was a bit different when we had the 10, when we were only allowed 10 within the restaurant. But yeah, we just kept going. Everyone's pretty understanding, and they're really enjoying themselves. We've made a point of not having time seatings because we never have. And people have taken that time to come out and really celebrate. They're really enjoying beautiful food and drinking lots of wine and booking us out. So we're really happy.
You've got a very loyal following, and a lot of that was established through your social media. So is there anything that you've been doing there that's been a bit different?
I just keep constantly 2 stories at morning, at night, and 1 a day. And I've also found there's a local Facebook that started up just before COVID, restaurant and takeaway for the Sunshine Coast. And that grew from when I didn't join it before. We actually went on 2 weeks already pre-planned leave over Easter. So that was nice to have a break. But when we came back, I joined that, and that was on 16,000 people. And now it's up to nearly 21,000, and that was free advertising for us. So I put on our, when we knew we were reopening, I just put our little video on there as a teaser. So all these people who'd never been to Harry's before didn't know about us, and yeah, that was organically seen by thousands of people. It was really, really good. So I just do a weekly post on there as well. But yeah, just keeping the same kind of, we're only having one menu, we're not having our lunch special. But yeah, people are still loving Harry's, which is, we're really very, very grateful for.
Fantastic. I know, Lisa, you and I met a couple of years ago when you attended one of my workshops, and I know we were talking about social media there, and I've been following Harry's over that period of time, and the quality of your postings, the engagement and the stories behind have really kept me motivated and interested, and obviously have done the same. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you, Kayleen.
Joanna, hello. The Great Barrier Reef Aquarium. What's it? Reef HQ.
Yeah, so I'm from Reef HQ Aquarium in Townsville, and we're the National Education Centre for the Great Barrier Reef. So we're very lucky in that we're government funded, and so we were considered essential workers. So during COVID, we did close on March 23rd as per a lot of other tourist attractions, but we were able to retain all of our staff, including our casuals. So during the closure, we focused, normally we deliver a school holiday program with mermaids, which is one of our biggest kind of promotions. And so we moved all of our school holiday programming to Facebook for Facebook Lives. So we were still able to deliver those educational messages. And we did those pretty much weekly up until a few weeks ago, but we're about to start them again from this week, ready for the next lot of school holidays, because we won't reopen until just afterwards, until the 13th of July. And yeah, I guess we're in a very unique position because we're actually closing next year for renovations.
Wow.
For about 12 months, so we're kind of in a stage of trying to reopen, but also trying to close. And so we've had to change a lot of our business operations to allow for that, including our membership program. So that's been a massive focus for us during the closure, and how to compensate members during the disruption to their annual pass, because we can't extend it. We don't have time to extend it because of the closure. And yeah, so we've just still been, it's almost business as usual, but we're just moving more into that digital space to deliver what we normally would.
And the lives that you do, is that connected to an actual curriculum for schools?
So we have, I guess, 2 different teams. We have the marketing team, and we manage the social media, and so the Facebook Lives. We've partnered with education, and a lot of those lives have been linked to our daily talks and tours program. And then our education team have also been focusing on curriculum-based lessons that they've been putting up through YouTube. So we've had the 2 different streams of content going out.
And Joanna, you've said that as a link through to government, everybody was retained and employed, but I'm assuming most people worked from home. How did you gain that sense of, you know, camaraderie? How did you keep in communication with each other?
Yeah, I guess being an aquarium, we did need staff on site every day to look after the animals and the life support systems. And for us, all of our content is the aquarium. So we did a lot of split shifts over the course. And so we had lots of Zoom catch-ups like everyone else. Our volunteers, we set up a private Facebook group for, and we've been doing a few different Facebook Lives in with them and different posts just with them. And we did like a Zoom party where we took them around the aquarium at one point during that closure. But I guess we've been lucky because we've had to be on site in order to deliver our work, because for some of us, that's, you know, that's our whole world is the aquarium.
It's a fabulous attraction. I worked in Townsville for 6 years, and I've visited it many a times. We've had fabulous functions where we were in the, you know, the tunnels with the sharks and everything. Yeah, so Thank you for that, Joanna. I'll come back to you. Actually, before I do go, the renovation that you're about to do, how long will you be closed for?
So we're expecting a period up to 12 months.
Wow.
The funding we received is for over 4 years, but we'll do the majority of the work in that first year because some of it's for our acrylic windows into the tanks, and we can't do that when we have public. So we'll focus a lot on those, I guess, the exhibits and the public space that we can't do when we're open.
Okay, so everybody needs to take advantage of you while you're open through to that school holidays and Christmas period. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Nikki, I know that you have to leave earlier. So I was just wondering, you've got a cross section of different businesses that were impacted because of the closure with COVID-19. You know, from an operational point of view, were there any key learnings that you had because of COVID that it allowed you time to identify these things, or particular actions that you needed to take from an operational or a marketing perspective?
I think initially we were very honest with our clients on our social media. So we own a business that we were passionate about. We've built up over years. We have a local following that's very loyal. We gave a very heartfelt, we're pausing the business video, which just received so many comments of kind of goodwill and support. And it was really lovely to kind of hear. And then we very quickly thought, well, we're going to try and make the most use of this time in terms of the operation that shut down. And so we pulled boats out of the marina and thought, well, we'll do all of the maintenance that we would normally schedule at different times of the year in one big chunk in our backyard, because we couldn't really, we didn't really know where we'd be able to access, what commercial facilities would be open. And so we were able to deploy some of our staff into doing that work. And I'm so glad that we did, because the Queensland government allowed people to go fishing on hire boats from the 2nd of May, and we never forecast that would happen so quickly. So it meant that when the time came to open our business, or at least an element of our business, we were given about 48 hours notice that we could trade, and the phones started ringing as soon as the Queensland government had said people can hire boats again. So I'm glad that we were kind of agile and nimble. It is operationally much easier, I think, to hibernate a business than it is to reopen it.
Yeah.
Particularly when you've got all of these COVID rules and regulations in place that you have to navigate as well. So yeah, that's kind of how we adjusted to make things work as best as possible. And now we're putting in the jet boat from this Saturday, again, tweaking the operation. Now we have to make sure that we have different check-in times for all of our guests in terms of the hire boats and the jet boats, so that we don't have too many people within our business at one time. And a lot of the things that they had asked for in terms of hygiene and keeping records of passenger details we were already doing, but it was just a matter of retraining and focusing the staff on the importance of this information now for an additional reason, not just the reasons historically why we had this information, I guess, kept from marine purposes. Now there's a health and safety protocol that sits behind it as well.
And just talking about staff, what's the level of staff and how have you kept them engaged? Or brought them back in to try to restart? Yes.
Yeah. So our staff, we have 2 full-time staff, and then my husband and I, and they stayed with us for the duration of this time. And they usually driving the product or the front of our business in an operational role. So we gave a bit of breathing space for the first week when we closed the business down, because everybody's life was in a bit of turmoil. And then we had them in that maintenance role. And then they're back in operation now, driving, again, the experience for our customers. And we, as a team, went through all of the COVID restrictions, brainstormed and worked out how they would fit into our safety management systems. And they've been involved in the process the entire way. So I would like to think for them professionally, they've also had some skills that they've developed, business skills that they've developed as a result of this as well, that hopefully will assist them as they move forward in their careers, along with our business as well. And now we're at the stage where I don't think that our business will trade in the same terms that it did historically, because we've still got a chunk of the market that's missing, but it is starting to gear up, and our hope is that at least while JobKeeper is here, and hopefully if it's got an extension for our industry that will continue to support them in full-time capacities. And should we not be able to, we'll have to work around that. But I don't see the situation where we would be letting them go completely. We're just really working on getting our business to a point where it can continue to support that labour moving forward post JobKeeper.
Look, I love the point that you raised in regard to including them into the discussion, including them, you know, allowing them to be part of the solution and not just part of the problem. It's a really empowering thing that you did, and it helps build that resilience. We don't realise while we're going through that process that we're actually building that resilience muscle. It's often down the track, and in hindsight, you look and go, oh, that's what we did. You know, we brainstormed solutions, and that is a skill and a technique that they can take into the future and go, it doesn't matter how bad it gets, let's just have a look at the lay of the land. So I congratulate you on doing that, because it's often, you know, it can be easier just for the owners just to get in and make decisions and let everybody know what they are instead of being all inclusive. So well done on that.
Yeah. Thank you. And my apologies. As I mentioned to you, Kayleen, we're relaunching part of the business, and so now all the local media I've got meetings with over the next few days, which is again, you know, indicative of a very supportive community now that's all excited to see the destination do well and to get behind its businesses. So apologies to everybody that I'm leaving a bit earlier today, but it's exciting anyhow to have that support.
And is there a final word of wisdom that you would like to part as the state opens up?
I think just in terms of supporting our backyard, it's been so lovely to be a recipient of that support, and I am so thankful that in return we're going to really try and give it back where we can as well. I'm excited to see the rest of the state. After the school holidays, we'll probably take a week and do a little bit of travelling out to Andara or some areas, Cobalt Gorge, that I've never been to as well. And it's surprising, you know, what's in our own backyard that I've never experienced. So it's a great excuse to support our little pocket of the world at this time. And I'm very thankful for the support that we have received.
Absolutely. Congratulations, and good luck with your media interviews, getting the word out about what you've been doing and how it's opening up. I really appreciate taking the time. Thanks.
Great.
Nikki.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody. Thanks so much for sharing the stories. Thanks, Kelly.
Nikki. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Judy, if I can just go back to you again. So your property is a little different from the fact that it was, particularly with the Longreach Motor Inn, was more of a corporate. And yes. You did make mention that you were, with some of the staff that you had kept on, that you were providing, you know, food through to the people. Did you actually have guests during that COVID stay that required to be with you?
Yes. Yes, we had guests all the way through. We had obviously essential workers that were travelling out here. And April was very quiet, but and I think everyone was in a state of, you know, shock and nothing much, no one knew anything. And so it was very quiet, but from towards the end of April and then on to May, we've seen this gradual pickup. So the corporate travellers did increase. And then, of course, once the Premier announced the opening up of Queensland, our phone ran hot. So, you know, we're obviously not going to see the sort of occupancies that we traditionally do see out here at this time of year, but it is certainly a lot better than it had been.
I believe the Premier is actually in Longreach today, so that's given a little bit more exposure to your destination, which is great.
Yes. Yes, she is, and I've missed some of the things this morning, but there's a roundtable discussion this afternoon that we'll all get to and have a little bit to say.
Well, it's great that there's a focus on the Outback. Just before I leave you, you made mention about Saltbush Retreat. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so Saltbush Retreat, we were fortunate to be in the position to buy a couple of years ago. So it had been, the previous owners had developed beautiful luxury accommodation there, slab huts and homestead stables. So that has gone mad for the school holidays.
Fantastic.
And in fact, I think, you know, for the majority of school holidays, it's fully booked now. So there's a few days here and there.
Just explain what Saltbush is. You said slab huts and a homestead. So is it self-contained, or is it like a bed and breakfast, or?
So it's fully self-contained. The original property were just sort of the standard cabins that you get everywhere, and then the development about 5 or 6 years ago started, and so the slab huts are a style to reflect the life of pioneers, of Australian pioneers in the early days, and they used to build the huts. They just cut the slab off the side of the timber and then put them together. So that's why they were called the slab huts. These are, of course, got all the modern comforts, and they are beautifully appointed. And then the homestead stables are styled to the stables and, well, a combination of homestead and the stables, but they're again beautifully appointed. And we were fortunate last year to win the Gold Awarded Tourism Queensland award for self-contained accommodation.
Congratulations, well done. And just exactly what's the location, just so people know? Where is
so it is just next to the Hall of Fame, opposite the Qantas Museum, and yes, in Longreach, yes.
Okay.
And we named it Saltbush after. So it's Saltbush, of course, is a grass, grass. It's probably it's a perennial that grows out here and in a lot of Queensland, and it's a well used stock feed as well. So Saltbush, it was just local to the area, and that's why we came up with the name.
Fantastic that we've got some really wonderful award-winning businesses in this state. So congratulations on that. As a final word, moving forward, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges moving forward at the moment?
Well, I think, as everyone sort of acknowledged, you know, the JobKeeper was a wonderful initiative by the government for us all. But even within that, some of our staff have moved. They had opportunities. Our 2 restaurant managers here at the Longreach Motoring have moved. They were both offered positions elsewhere. So one of our big challenges now is actually getting staff back as things get busier. Getting sufficient staff back, and also so that we can reopen Harry's here at the Motoring. You know, even now as we speak, this week's been so busy trying to get sufficient housekeepers back now to just turn the rooms over has been difficult. I mean, we have difficulty all the time in the season, and we always have a few backpackers at this time of year. Of course, because we weren't sort of knowing what was going to happen, and we were wanting to give as much of the work as we could to the locals, but it's just because it's got so busy so quickly, you know, everyone's getting a lot of hours. The staff that we have are getting a lot of hours at the moment, so I'm sure they're all happy. But yeah, that's a big challenge for us. And I think, you know, for Longreach in general, and you know, at this time of year we have a lot of the bus groups coming through, so that's very challenging for those companies, trying to sort out how they will do that. So that'll take a big, that'll take a lot to fill for us with independent travellers. So, and you know, for the bus companies, it's very difficult at the moment to sort out how they can get some numbers into those. I mean, the people will come, but they legally can't put them in there yet, of course.
Yeah. Oh, it's very, very tricky for tour transport. It's, you know, the rules have been quite ambiguous. You know, they talk about that flights can arrive with people side by side, that in coaches they have to be, or in boats they have to be so far apart.
That's right.
But you raised a really, really interesting point that I think, you know, often when government make these announcements, they forget that the type of people that you were employed or that you had employed have now left local communities, and they've gone home to be with friends and family.
That's right.
And you can't just automatically within 24 hours just pick them up to be able to put them back in. So Well, I wish you all the very best, Judy,
Thank
for
you.
both of your properties, and
Thank you.
hopefully as the state opens up, they'll all start to see the beautiful wonders that Longreach has to offer us.
Yes.
So thank you,
Yes,
appreciate it.
Thanks, Kaylee. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Renae, just back to you. You were talking about renovations. So how did you take advantage of this time, and what did you do to the property?
Yep, so we had a fair amount of time in there, and again, we took the advantage of the JobKeeper. So our staff were absolutely elated when we said, look, we're going to do some renovations. So they came in as well and helped us out with that. So a lot of our accommodation had already been renovated prior, so our sites needed some, attention. So we've got what we call our roaring 40s, which are sites that look out towards the ocean. And the retaining wall, there was so much potential to make the sites all larger, even though they were already quite large sites. So we've increased the retaining wall to it so that all the sites become level. And that was a big project on its own, because Ben had to create the cast mould for the actual retainer wall. Then also all of our amenities, they got all a new paint job. The staff absolutely loved painting. Very, very therapeutic, I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
And then also our office. We've been wanting to renovate our office, but obviously being, a 7-day-a-week business, you don't get the opportunity to shut that office down. So I took great pleasure in smashing all the tiles in the actual office. That was that was awesome. That was my therapy. So we've managed to do that. We've done a big switch out from electric hot water systems over to gas. So we're able to get our contractor in to be able to do that. So we did a big changeover on that area. So yeah, there was a lot of renovations also that the guests probably won't see in the way that it's underground piping and so forth, that you can't do when you've got a park full of people.
Yep.
And also our mini golf got half completed. We haven't finished that one off, but we can't have it open anyway underneath our health management plan. So yeah, there's quite a few projects, and also our unpowered site's got a bit of attention as well. So yeah.
Again, I think it's wonderful that your staff could be part of the solution, and as you open up, can be very proud of the product that you're about to deliver. So yeah, it's wonderful when you, and again for yourself, when you're working 7 days a week, you can often identify things that need to change, but it's so hard to get in there when you've got guests. So if there is a little bit of a silver lining, the fact that you've set yourself up for success as far as improvement of the property is concerned is wonderful. So you're obviously in a relatively good cash flow situation to be able to put those funds out. So what you did previously set you for that?
I'd have to say my bookkeeper and my accountant are both always up me saying, no, Renae, just steady up, because I am a little bit of a hard taskmaster when it comes to, bookkeeping and accounting and stuff. But don't get me wrong, we're on a fine line. We did over 100,000 in refunds, which was very hard to take.
Wow.
In an understanding that, a lot of our guests are hardworking families and they needed that money back. So, and we're coming up to our really peak time, which was Easter, where a majority of the payments had already been paid in full. So there was quite a large refunds to go back there. But yeah, we have been working, like I said, we've been open for 8 years that we've been here. And yes, I am a bit of a saver, and I'll put aside what I can put aside to make sure that we can get those tasks done, yes.
Look, congratulations for your integrity in regard to those refunds. I mean, it's very hard when you see the money in the bank and then all of a sudden it's the rug that is pulled out from within you. But as you said, people have done it in good faith, and hopefully those people that had previous bookings a lot of those are coming back and asking to rebook. Is that the case?
Now, yeah. We've got a lot of our local following market, because that's a majority of our market is local. We do have a 40% international, but 60% local. And yeah, they're all wanting to get out. They're all wanting to explore their own backyard, which is really awesome. And it's great to see that support, not just for us, but also for other local, tourism operators out there. They're seeing a very similar picture as well, which is great to see. But I have to put it out there that I'm really grateful to my staff, the fact that they've stayed on board and, they've enjoyed the time. But I must say it's now at a point where there's a lot of pressure on them, because we are under such regulations that their workload has increased. Their hours, because they're all casual, their hours have basically doubled. So I have to keep a good eye on them now, because they're coming to me and saying, you know, look, this is just so much more than we anticipated. So it's you know, it's time to support them as well. So, but it's awesome to have them.
Well done, and thank you. All the very best as we start to open up. Joanna, Townsville has always been a great supporter of the Reef HQ. Knowing that you're only going to be open for another, is it, what did you say you're closing, what time next year?
In February, so we'll be open for about 6 months.
Okay, so I'm assuming that that's where most of your focus will be for the locals, or VFR. What's the plan of attack there?
Yeah, it's a little bit hard. We actually don't know when we reopen to maintain capacities. We'll be operating under the zoos and aquariums industry COVID safe plan. So that in our facility will give us a capacity of 110 guests at a time. During school holidays, especially like mermaids and things, that definitely is above that capacity. So we'll be opening with time sessions. So we'll have a members only session in the morning because our members are one of our main markets every single year, and they're one of our main visitors. We have people who come in every single week with their bub for coffee, so kind of giving them that chance to come in. And then we'll have a 3-hour morning session and a 3-hour afternoon session. But we can't offer our talks and tours programs at the moment. And so, yeah, because we're reopening just after school holidays, and now's our biggest time where we get the grey nomads and we get the interstate travellers, and we also get a lot of international travellers. We normally do a lot of edu-tourism programs right now with groups from the States who come over and spend 9 days with our education team. So without all of that, I think we're really just concentrating on the members and the local community. Just, you know, while we're open, it's really hard to go into contracts with any other businesses because they're so short term and we can't deliver the product that we normally would deliver or be able to offer.
Well, it certainly is an interesting, you've obviously had this renovation planning years in advance. It's just a shame that it couldn't kind of coincided with the closure, but it's very hard to bring those things forward. So
yeah, and so we only got the funding announcement in December, and so we have to go through the Public Works Committee as a government organisation, and we're almost at the point where we can go to tender for the head contractor for those works. So we have done a little bit of maintenance over this time. In a predecessor for some of those bigger works, we had some really big crane lifts just the other week where we needed to move chillers and thermal energy storage units and things. But yeah, just trying to line everything up. It would have been nice if we could have moved those works forward, but it wasn't to be.
Just as COVID has hit everybody, everything was quite unexpected. I know the complexity of the aquarium, having seen the behind the scenes and also see what the visitor sees, and what you're planning for the future is going to be very complex and will require an enormous amount of organisation. Will your staff continue during that time, or will they need to be put onto some leave?
No, all of our staff will continue. We'll still have our animals in the facility during the closure. So our curatorial team, they'll still be on site every day to look after the animals and the life support systems. Our education team, they have a really large digital outreach program. So they've been delivering video conferences during this closure. They just did one. It went to India and it was in all these other countries around the world at the same time. So that'll be a major focus for them. And the marketing team will focus a lot on our reinvigorated membership program. We'll have to go back to voucher agents for contracting, you know, tour products and everything like that, website development and hopefully some app development. So the only staff that will be impacted will be our casuals, our front of house staff, but, you know, we did give them a year's notice as such, and we have been able to keep them on throughout this whole COVID situation, and we redirected them to a digitisation project as well. So yeah, all of our permanent staff will continue.
All right. Well, I encourage everybody as the state opens up to take the time, if they can visit Townsville, please visit the aquarium. It is absolutely sensational. If you've got any kiddies, I know that they'll be blown away, but all the adults will certainly enjoy the experience as well. So thanks very much, Joanna. I really appreciate you participating. And final words, Lisa. What have been some of the key learnings that you've taken out of this particular situation?
To stop reading too much, because then I don't get any sleep. So they kept changing the rules on JobKeeper too much, and I knew more than the ATO half the time. So yeah, I quite enjoyed trying to help my staff get it, and then the ones that couldn't get it, I helped them get Job Seeker. I just wanted to make sure that they were okay. So yeah, they're all back now. So we're really happy to have them on board. And yeah, we're just looking to the future on how we can use Harry's in a different way. We're thinking maybe picnic baskets for outside, but we need storage and space for that. We were lucky enough to do takeaway for Elton John for his final concert, but I wasn't allowed to promote it, so I am now. So
Good on
so
you.
yeah, we're hoping to do a bit more of that, like high-end the jets that come in, because the airport has just opened internationally, even though no flights are coming in. But yeah, we're hoping to look on different avenues that the restaurant can take, even if we can't fill the function area, because we had like 2 pharmaceutical functions per pharmaceutical industry group per year, and we've lost out on them. And I don't know if the doctors will ever be able to go out and go to a function anytime soon. And everybody tends to come to Harry's for their big occasions, birthdays or anniversaries with all their families. So even though they're having smaller, intimate ones, we're really happy that they keep coming to us. But yeah, they're slowly understanding that we can't fit that many people in, even though we do have the space. And they're, what are you talking about? But yeah, they get it eventually.
It is such a shame, because I've seen some beautiful photos that you have posted where you've hosted intimate weddings and like you say, special occasions, whether it's milestone birthdays or anniversaries or things like that. So you are obviously, if you're speaking to people about the fact that you can't do it, I'm hoping that the inquiry level is certainly picking up for you.
Yeah, the inquiry level is. We used to do monthly degustation meals with like themed ones, and we are continuing that, just offering that on multiple days. So we're doing Christmas in July over 3 days, whereas we used to do it just one night. So then we can still get the amount of people in, and they can have matching wines. And I think people prefer that as well, because they're not stuck to one date. So that one's been quite popular. So we're hoping to do that. But yeah, we were supposed to be part of the curated plate program, that was put to bed this year. So yeah, hopefully the events will keep running, long lunches with chamber events and things like that, and Visit Sunshine Coast, who've been really supportive. Yeah, hopefully that will come in the future, but just with smaller numbers. Well, hopefully she makes it 2 square metres instead of 4 square metres. So anything we'll be happy with.
Absolutely. So hopefully we will get more announcements as the week comes. Queensland has obviously done so very well. We need to be able to support and thank everybody that has contributed to our success. So once again, ladies, I just want to say thank you. You have again shown amazing resilience of this tourism industry. You've shown innovative and creativity in regard to your packaging and your promotion, your connectivity and your partnerships with each other, with your destination regional tourism associations. I congratulate you on the caring that you show to your staff to, keep them engaged as much as possible, and where possible, allow them to be part of that solution. So they can also build that, as I mentioned before, that resilience muscle, and actually feel as if they're making a contribution, a positive contribution, whether it's cleaning or painting, you know, an amenities block, or sitting down and being part of a strategy session. I think it's really important. People want to contribute. They want to be able to, you know, come from a different perspective. And I've always encouraged that when we're looking at what's going to happen into the future. So once again, I want to say thank you very much for saying yes. For everybody that's here today, we had Lisa Bell from Harry's and Buderim Restaurant. We have Renae Atherton from Cape Hillsborough Nature Park, Judy Kennedy from Longreach Motor Inn and Saltbush, Joanna Hurford from Reach HQ, and we had Nikki from Bad Fishy Jet Boating. As I mentioned before, the whole purpose of this series is about connecting, engaging and supporting women, and I hope that that's what we've done also within this session. The whole webinar series has been made possible due to the Queensland Government's Advancing Women in Business initiative, so I just want to say thank you to them, and also thank you for the support of our industry stakeholders, which include Tourism Events Queensland and QTech. Next week, I'd just like to mention we were having Rebecca Gullen, who was from Surfers Paradise Marriott Resort and Spa this week. She's going to be on next week. Unfortunately, she was ill. She will be accompanied by Kirsty Rogers from the Windmill Cafe in beautiful Bundaberg, Nicole Graham from the Sundowner and Lady Enid products in the beautiful Whitsundays. We have Sally Pulford from Howard Smith Wharves in Brisbane. That'll be really interesting to find out what happens with such a large organisation like that opening up. We're going to have Steph from Aquascene and Magnetic Island, beautiful Maggie, and Carolyn from the Passchendaele Farm Holidays, representing Southern Queensland country. So really excited to welcome them for week 7. Then we'll have one following week on week 8. So ladies, thank you, all the best. As we open up, I wish you much success. I hope everybody, you know, those phones start to ring, the emails come through, and we will survive this together. Well done, thank you, and all the very best. See you later, bye. Bye everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.